Hello, my name is Jeremy Woolidge. I have a company called Independent Perspective, and we are essentially a corporate identity consultancy. Corporate identity is really around the issue of managing the reputation and image of organisations, and it usually manifests in a graphic form, in the form of what many people describe as logos. So I'm involved really in working with organisations around their names, their identities, and how they manage those to communicate what they do in a competitive way. An example of that might be where you have two organisations coming together to set up a new company. That new company needs a positioning, i.e. it needs to be very clear about where it positions itself in the marketplace compared to its competition. It will need a name, it will need some physical representation in terms of an identity, and then various bits of collateral to support it. And I'm involved in the development and process of all of those sorts of things. The way in which we conduct this sort of work is by speaking to the various stakeholders involved with the client companies. And that is people internally, staff and so on, as well as externally, shareholders and regulators and suppliers, potential customers, all of these groups. What we're interested in is the mismatch in perception between internal and external groups, because it's within the mismatch that you can create your identity and your communication strategy. There was recently a situation where I was involved with two building societies who were coming together to create a joint venture company. And this was within an area that was completely new to both of them. And they were doing some fairly revolutionary things in that market. The proposition was a very revolutionary proposition. And therefore, in naming terms, we needed the name to also be revolutionary. In that situation, the challenges for an identity consultant are more than just about pure strategy and about creativity. It's also about managing the political dimension, the personalities, the culture within the two organisations. In this situation, you had two apparently very similar organisations, but their response to the creative solution was completely different. It turned out that one was an extremely creative organisation, very open to revolutionary solutions. The second organisation was extremely conservative and couldn't dream of accepting the recommendations we came up with. In that case, the consultant needs to be able to manage those dynamics in such a way that both parties end up being happy, and yet you also have a creative solution that meets the market and strategic need.
What do you find the most challenging aspect of what you do, Jeremy?
Well, I think the most challenging part is clearly managing the human element of it. It's a creative process, and you're encouraging people to be creative, and yet someone somewhere needs to be in the middle of that process managing it and ensuring that the creativity is still aligned to a clear strategic objective.
Okay. And if you were recruiting for a young graduate to join your team, what kind of individual, what sort of skills, competencies would you be looking for?
You're looking really for people who've got a background in thinking, people who can think strategically, people who are able to analyse data and distill it to its simplest forms, who can communicate that in a way that other people understand. It's people who are empathetic, people who are interested in people and organisations, who are inquisitive. It's about people who can listen and hear. It's about people who know how to ask naive or apparently naive questions.